All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you wherever you are in different parts of the world. In this series of web development and design tutorial, I will be taking you. My name is Daboni, by the way, and in this series, we're going to be looking at web development and design. But in this video, we have two parts, which I'm going to quickly explain to you using my outline. All right. So let's go. Now, in the first part, we're going to look at what is domain name and what is a hosting. Okay, so what does it mean? Then we'll look at what to consider when you're choosing a hosting plan for yourself. Then we also look at how can we register a domain name and then have a hosting. Okay, then we'll look at how does your hosting dashboard looks like when you enter your hosting when you've registered. How does your dashboard looks like? Then we'll look at how can we get the free hosting for many of us that want to keep practicing and then you want to know more about web development and design. Okay, you need a free hosting, okay, to do that. Now we'll look at 2FA, which is two-factor authentication. Then we'll look at how can we buy, okay, a domain name and then our hosting for those of us here in Nigeria. Then the second part, we'll look at cPanel, which is the control panel. Okay, what does it entails? What are the features? What are the things we can do through the cPanel? Then we'll look at how can we install our WP, which is the WordPress software. Okay, so these are the things we'll look at, okay, in this video. All right, so join me as we go
Right
into
now,
uh,
we'll,
the tutorial.
we'll
So
go into my first website, which is app.com. Now, you want to ask, what is a domain name? A domain name is the name of your website. Okay, it's your address. Okay, for instance, looking at apple.com, this part, okay, is the domain name. Okay, this is what you register. This is what you choose as an individual or as a corporate organization or for your client. Okay, as the case may be. Okay, so if you look at another website here, which is usaid.gov, okay, usaid.gov is the domain name. Okay, then for every domain name there's an extension. All right, now if you look at usaid.gov, gov here, .gov here is the extension. All right, then for apple.com, .com is the extension. Different domain names have different extensions. There are some with .store, which is store. There are some with .org. There are some with .ng, .com, and .ng. Okay, so it all depends on the sector in which you want to build the website. Okay, so for instance, if you're building a website that is all about maybe IT or ICT, okay, you might want to go for a .net website extension. Okay, and then if you're operating a non-governmental organization, okay, you might want to go for .org. Okay, so never make the mistake of opening a .com extension for an NGO. Okay, it is wrong. All right, so that is for domain name. Now, what is your hosting? Okay, your hosting, this is the place where all your website files are stored. Okay, your website, they are all in files. Now these files, where are they stored? They are stored in your hosting. Okay, so now the question now is, where do I get my domain name? Okay, how can I search for my domain name? How can I buy a hosting plan? All right, so now I'm going to introduce you to quite a number of websites where you can go to, okay, and search for an available domain name and then see which of the hosting plans you can get for yourself. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Namecheap. Okay, so Namecheap is one of the websites you can go to and search. So right in here, I could search for imagedevglobal.com and then I search. So if I search, Namecheap will tell me whether this domain name is available or not, and then with the price, okay, how much I need to pay to get it. Okay, so you can see, okay, this is no longer available. Why? Because it has been registered in 2019. Okay, so Namecheap gives me, okay, where it was registered, when it was registered, and then the organization it was registered with. So it was registered with Namecheap. Okay, is it an active business? Yes, it's active. Employees about five. Okay, so I get this as the virtual. Of course it is. Okay, so location you can see Abuja. All right, so that is how you search, okay, for your domain name, whether it is available or not. All right, so let's go to another site. Okay, this is smartweb.com.ng. Now let me quickly show you another one, which is truehost.com.ng. Okay, now there might be need for you to open a .ng domain, okay, especially for those of us that are here in Nigeria. A foreign or website like Namecheap or Bluehost might not give you a .ng. In fact, they will not even give you a .ng domain extension. Okay, so you need to open your website with one of the uh, organizations here in Nigeria, like truehost.com.ng, or you go to smartweb.com.ng. All right, so this will give you um, so let's move on now quickly. I'm going to recommend some sites to you where you can go and register your domain and then your hosting. Okay, now the first on the list will be namecheap.com. As you can see, Namecheap is reputable. Their customer service is fantastic. Okay, um, if you run into a problem or you're having a challenge, okay, at the back end of your website, Namecheap, immediately you send a message to them. I can tell you that within seconds, Namecheap will respond back to you. Okay, so it's my number one. All right, so for those that want to have a .ng extension, you might want to consider SmartWeb. Okay, consider SmartWeb, smartweb.com.ng. Okay, and then truehost.com.ng. Okay, then Bluehost, I'm recommending that. Another one is siteground.com. Okay, I've used siteground.com in the past, and I can tell you it's also a fantastic website. Okay, their customer service is awesome, and they can be super fast too. Okay, so now I'm also going to quickly show you something right about now. Okay, let me go back to our outline, and then I'm going to just show us some other websites you can go to, okay, and register your domain and your hosting. Okay, so you can go to googlehost.ng. Okay, you can get your .ng domain extension also here. All right, another site you can go to is Hostinger. Okay, hostinger.com. Okay, now so these are in addition to the few ones I've shown you before. Now these sites, they are okay. I recommend them any day, anytime. You won't have any problem with them. Okay, because I've used a couple of them for myself in the past. Okay, and currently I'm still using some of them. Okay, so now let us go to what you should consider. Okay, what should I consider when I'm choosing my hosting plan? Okay, now I'm going to use Namecheap now, but before I look at what to consider, okay, when you are choosing your hosting plan, you should also know that the different website organizations that are offering domain and hosting, they have different kinds of hosting. Okay, that they sell. Okay, for instance, at Namecheap, if you go to their hosting, you can see that They have shared hosting, they have WordPress hosting, reseller, VPS, dedicated server. All right, so you might not see the same thing with SmartWeb. SmartWeb has Linux shared hosting, Windows shared reseller, VPS, cloud, dedicated email, and then WordPress hosting. Okay, so there might be some similarities. Okay, but they might not totally be the same. Okay, so it all depends on what you want. Okay, and some other things I'm going to mention. Okay, so I just quickly want to mention that all these organizations, they offer their own different kinds of hosting. Okay, so you do your due diligence search. Okay, ask your question, interact with their customer service, and get what you need. Okay, before you pay for any of the services. Okay, so now what are the things you need to consider? Now I'm going to go to Namecheap. I'm going to use that. I will go to shared hosting. Okay, then we'll look at the first thing you need to consider. The first thing you need to consider is the price. Okay, so for instance, under the shared hosting of Namecheap, okay, they have three plans. They have the Stellar Plus, and the Stellar Business. Okay, now for Stellar, it goes for $2.18 per month. Now for a whole year, if you are to go for this plan right away, okay, you'll be paying about $26 here. Okay, now that's for a year. So another thing you need to consider is the renewal rate. So most of this website, at first, when you're buying a domain, if you're going when you're going for a hosting plan with them, they will give you a discounted rate. Okay, so you need to be very careful about that. Okay, they might sometimes hide their renewal rate, so you need to look for it. How much am I going to pay after 1 year? Okay, or after 2 years? Okay, so that is taken, for instance, if you're buying a 2 year hosting plan right away. Okay, so how much are you going to pay after the hosting plan has expired? All right, so for Namecheap on the Stellar plan, okay, you'll be paying about $50 per year. Okay, so this is something you need to consider. All right, now you also need to consider how many sites you can build, okay, on the plan, on the hosting plan. So you can see on the Stellar you have three websites. For Stellar Plus, it's unlimited. Okay, and then what is the space available to you? Okay, so you can see this is 20 gig, 20 gigabyte SSD. SSD is solid state disk. Okay, then for Stellar Plus is unmetered. Okay, now you also want to take a look at the bandwidth. Okay, is it metered? Is it measured? Okay, and then you also want to look at whether they are giving you SSL. SSL is secure socket layer. Okay, what is secure socket layer? Now if you go to your website, okay, the domain here, you will see that you have HTTPS. Okay, now any site with HTTPS, it's simply saying that this is a secure site. Okay, and anyone without this S, okay, you should know that such site does not have SSL. And what does that mean? It means that if you type in any delicate information on that site, it can easily be stolen. Okay, so you need to be careful and be sure that you are going to site with SSL. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so these are some of the things you might want to consider. Okay, you also want to consider the ease of use. Okay, uh, what are the different icons or buttons or the layout of your website, especially at the dashboard? Okay, oh, okay, is it easy to use? You might want to consider that. Then you also want to consider traffic. How many people do you think will be accessing your site? Okay, so you want to go for a hosting plan that can accommodate enough traffic, okay, so that your website will not run into problem. Okay, then the last thing you might also want to consider is the support. Like I said, for Namecheap, if you run into a challenge and you send a message to their customer service, you can be sure that within seconds they will attend to you. Okay, there are many hosting websites out there. that even if you send them message, they might not respond to you until maybe an hour or even more. Okay, so this is something you need to consider. Okay, all right, now let's move on. Now quickly, we're going to look at uh, how can we register our domain, okay, and then uh, our hosting plan. Now, in the course of this video, I'm not going to pay for a domain name, and I'm not going to pay for a hosting plan. Rather, I'm going to use a free hosting plan, okay, or a free hosting, as the case may be. Okay, now let me show you something. Now, there are quite a number of websites you can go to and get a free hosting for yourself. All right, but on top of the list is Infinity Free. Okay, this is infinityfree.net. All right, so you can go to infinityfree.net and open, register, uh, have a new profile for yourself. Okay, now how do we do this? Okay, you come here to client area, you click on it. Okay, it takes you, why is this page coming up? It's because I have an account with them already. Okay, so if you do not have an account with infinityfree.net, okay, you would have to go to sign up down here. When you click on sign up, okay, it takes you to this page where you type in your email address, your password, and then you confirm your password. Then you tick the terms of service. Then you click on create new profile. I'm not going to do this because I already have an account with them. All right, so I'm just going to sign in. Okay, and then it will take us into the dashboard of infinityfree.net. All right, so but before I log into my account, I quickly want to uh, show you that there are other websites you can go to. Okay, if you want to have a free hosting. Okay, so for free hosting, you might want to go to site like Wix. Okay, go to Wix. You can go to buy host. Okay, you might also want to consider hyper php. Okay, like I said, do your due diligence. Okay, and then look at the different features they are offering you. How many subdomains can you open? Okay, I'm going to talk about that later with infinityfree.net. Okay, so you might also want to take a look at 000 web host. Okay, then we have free hostia. Okay, you can also go to free hosting. Okay, so these websites will allow you to create or to have a free hosting. Okay, all right, so you might want to consider all of this. All right, so now let's go back to Infinity Free and then let's see what we have. So I'm going to log in into my account, and then I'm also going to show you how the dashboard of a paid hosting plan, how it looks, and then how uh, the dashboard of a uh, a free uh, hosting, how they look. Okay, so I'm going to compare them, and then you will see how their dashboard looks. All right, now but before I do that, I've taken time to look at Namecheap and two Nigerian websites where you can buy your domain name and then as well uh, purchase your hosting. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up right away so that you can have an idea of what it means or what to expect. Okay, when you are choosing any of the extensions, especially now for Google Host, which is a Nigerian website. Okay, if you are buying a .com extension, okay, you'll be paying about 10,000 naira. All right. So, and then if you're going for maybe an NGO here in Nigeria who is interested in .org.ng extension, you'll be paying about 1,200, okay, for that domain name, okay. And then for hosting, depending on the budget of the individual or the client, okay, you might be paying as much as 10,000 to 35,000, okay. Now for smart web is almost the same thing with the extensions, okay. So you can see for .com, .com.ng, then .ng.org, okay. You can see all the prices there. So take your time for Namecheap. Just take your time and go through, okay, and then see which one you can afford, and then for the different features, which one best suits your need, okay. So that is something you might want to consider. All right, so now let's move on. I'm going to log in into infinityfree.net right away. All right, now infinityfree.net allows you to have 3 accounts within one, okay. Now if you want to, when you log in newly, you're not going to see these 2 accounts. For me, I have like 2 accounts, okay. And then if you look down here, I have mhdev.42web.io. This is the name of my website. This is the domain name, okay, for one of my websites that are running on infinityfree.net. Another one is afophoto.apz.com, okay. Now if you want to create your domain name, okay, so you come here, you click on create account. So when you do that, okay, it takes you to this page. Now here you see that it's telling you to type in a subdomain. So invariably what infinityfree.net is giving you, it's a subdomain. All right. And even other free hosting website, what they usually give is subdomain, okay. So but here you will see domain extension. So if you click on that drop down, you have love2blog.com, 42web.io. I chose 42web.io, okay. And then you have great site and then many other ones, okay. All right, so you are limited to these extensions, okay. So why would you want to open a free hosting, okay? Like I mentioned, is most especially for you to practice, okay, learn what you need to learn about web design uh, and development, okay. So now let's move on. I'm not going to open another one. I'm just going to go back, okay, and enter one of my accounts, okay. I'll go into one of my account. I'll go into mhdev.42web.io. So I click on the name. Now let me quickly say this, that when you are opening an account with infinityfree.net, infinityfree.net will not allow you choose a username, okay. They will allocate the username to you, okay, but you'll be allowed to choose a password, okay. So for me, this is my username here, okay, but I have my home password which is here. I'm not going to reveal it, okay. So this is how it looks. Now let's go to Namecheap, okay, to a paid account, and let us compare how their dashboard looks like, okay. Now I'm going to sign in into one of the accounts, okay. I'm going into this, okay. So you can see how the dashboard of the paid hosting, how it looks like. Now you can see it's asking me for OTP. What is OTP? OTP is one time password, okay. Now this is very important, okay. Let me just quickly mention this. Immediately you have an account with any of these uh, hosting websites, they will advise that you have a two-factor authentication, okay, running on your account. Okay, now there are two ways, or two most important, or two uh, uh, apps that people usually use. Okay, those are the two commonest anyway. Okay, so what are these two? Okay, let me quickly show you. Now we have Google Authenticator. Okay, so this is Google Authenticator. All right, so you can go into your Play Store if you have an Android phone and download a Google Authenticator. Okay, and then link it into with to your account. Okay, the other one is Hoti. Okay, so this is Hoti. This is the logo of Hoti. Okay, so go into your Play Store and then look for Hoti, download it into your phone, and then use it as your two-factor authentication. Okay.
Okay, we are back. Now, I'm going to go into my phone, okay, right now, one of my phones where I have my Auto Authenticator. So I'll go into it right now and pick up my code, okay? So I'm just going to type it in right now, okay? All right, boom. All right, so this is my dashboard for the paid hosting plan, okay, with Namecheap. All right, so this is how your dashboard looks like. All right, now if you look at the dashboard of infinityfree.net, you can see that both are slightly different. So different organization, different websites, they all have their their own way of displaying their dashboard. Okay, so it's not something serious. So it's all about choice and what they give you. Okay, when you register with them. Okay, so this is how your dashboard should look like. Now, what is it about this dashboard I really want to talk about? I would advise that you familiarize yourself with your dashboard. Okay, know all the things that they are showing you. Okay, on your dashboard. Okay, for Namecheap, you can see on the left hand side that you have your expiring and expired. So it shows you, okay, um, your domain. Okay, and then it shows you all your product. Okay, domain. Okay, so there are no records under here. Okay, so let me click that. Okay, products. Okay, so I go to domain list. Okay, now you can see this is my domain here. Then the status is telling me that it's active. Then if I want to auto renew, and then this is my expiry date. Okay, I can manage the domain from here. uh, then if you go to hosting list, okay, as you can see, this is the domain name, this is the plan, stellar plan. Okay, and the status is saying that it's active, and then this is the expiration. Okay, so I can go to my cPanel from here if I want to. Okay, we'll talk about that in a jiffy. All right, then you can also look at your SSL certificate from here, and then your profile. Okay, so I'll go back to my main dashboard. Okay, and then I will also go to Infinity. Okay, so you can see some of the things that are here. So just familiarize yourself with your dashboard. Okay, now quickly let us um, see what we have next on our outline. All right, so we have how to get a free hosting. Okay, so I think I've talked about that. Okay, so now I've talked about security of accounts, the 2FA, that's your Google Authenticator, and Auth. So you can use either of the two. Okay. Now let's look at the last one on the part one, which is buying a domain and hosting plan in Nigeria. Now you agree with me that currently in Nigeria there is limitation on all our debit cards. So the maximum you can do with your Visa card or your MasterCard in Nigeria, it's about $20. Okay, it's a strong restriction. And so, but if you go to a foreign website where you have to purchase your domain and your hosting and you're paying in dollars, perhaps the price you're paying for or the amount you're paying for, it's about $20. So what do you do? Okay, for let me show you for sites like Smart Web, okay, which is in Nigeria. Okay, so if you are paying for any of this domain, of course, they are less than 20,000. Okay, and most of they are in Naira. But let's go to the hosting now. Let's choose one. I'm going to choose Windows Shared Hosting. Okay, under Windows Shared Hosting, you'll see that you have, uh, for instance, the Windows 3 hosting plan. It's about 25,000. It's 25,000 Naira per year. All right. So because all these prices here, they are all in naira, you won't have any problem with your debit card. You can pay directly using your debit card. Okay. But let us go to a foreign website. Okay. Maybe like Namecheap, and then let's see. Okay. So take a look at this. Now for Stellar Plus, you have 34 about $35. Okay. If you have to pay for Stellar Plus, okay, for a year. All right. So now, if you want to use a debit card for this, it will not go. It will be declined. Okay. So what do you do? All right. So whether you're using your Visa or your debit or your Mastercard, it is advisable that you go back to your bank and get a dollar debit card, load it, and use it for your transaction. Maybe in the nearest future, some of these websites will allow us to use crypto to pay. Using crypto is easy. It's seamless. All right. So maybe one day they will allow us to use crypto, but till then, all right. So go to your bank, get your dollar debit card, and then use it to make your payment. Okay. So that's how to go about that. Now let us go to the part two. So I'm going to pull up my outline quickly. All right. So the part two will look at the C panel for both the free and the paid, and then we'll look at the features, what you can do using your cpanel, and then we'll also look at how we can install our WP. Okay, so this is what or these are the things we're going to do on the part two. So quickly, let's do that. Now I will go to my free hosting, which is infinityfree.net. All right, so here I'm going to click on control panel. Okay, so if you click on control panel, it takes me to my control panel. All right, so so this is my control panel for infinityfree.net. All right, so you can see here you can update your contact email. This is under preference. You look at your account settings. Under files, file manager, this is very important. This is when you look at the main structures within your website. Okay, you can do your backup. Okay, you can check your PHP my admin. uh, Here you can have add-on domain, you can have subdomains. Okay, and here you can use it to open email addresses. You also have access to forwarders. Okay, you can block IP. Okay, another software we have Subtaculous apps installer. This is very important because that's what we'll be using to install our WP, which is the WordPress. Okay, now quickly let's look at the paid version, and then we see, let me go back to my dashboard. Okay, so this is my dashboard for the paid hosting. Now I will go straight into my cPanel. Okay, it will redirect me now to my cPanel. Just wait for it. A minute, good. All right, so we're inside our cPanel. All right, so now under exclusive for Namecheap customers, so you have all of this. Okay, Subtaculous app installer, you have your spam protection, the jellyfish. Okay, you can get to see the version of PHP that is running on your website. You can manage your SSL from here. Okay, and then these are the different apps that are available to you on that Subtaculous app installer. Don't worry, we're still going to install our WP. Okay, so you can see here on the files, we have the file manager. Okay, and then um, under email, you can see you have, okay, this is where you create emails, okay, for yourself and then for those that are working within the organization, depending on who owns the website. Okay, so you also have access to forwarder, you have autoresponder. Okay, now autoresponder is very important. For instance, if I'm working with an organization and maybe I'm going for a leave, for my leave, say in the next 1 week, I could decide to set an autoresponder as an IT person. Okay, and then immediately my leave starts, the autoresponder kicks in. So every mail sent to me, sent to, into my email box, my autoresponder automatically replies the person. Okay, telling the person that I'm not in the office, that I'm on leave. Okay, and then I could also state it there in the message that at so day I will resume back to office. Okay, so that is what an autoresponder can do for you. Okay, so on the domains, you have your add-on domains, you have subdomains, you can open subdomains, okay, and then you can do much more, okay, with your paid hosting plan, okay. So that is about cPanel, okay. You can actually do much more. So take your time, go through all the different uh, features, okay, within uh, your cPanel, what you can do with your cPanel. Okay, explore it. Okay, familiarize yourself with all the features. Okay, so right now we're going to go to the last part, which is installing our WP. Okay, so how do you install your WP, which is the WordPress? Okay, so you go to, so let me go back to Infinity Free. So that's where I'm going to install it from. Okay, so this is my cPanel for Infinity Free. Okay, so I will go to software and then I will click on Subtaculous apps installer. Okay, so immediately I do that, it takes me into Subtaculous. Okay, now it takes me into Subtaculous app installer. Here it shows me the different apps I can install. Okay, but my major concern is WordPress. Okay, so I click on install. Okay, so it brings me to this page and it shows me, asking me to choose a protocol. Okay, now if you click on the drop down, okay, you have HTTP, then you have HTTPS here. Okay, on on a normal day, I will have chosen this, okay, which has to do with my SSL. Okay, but I'm not going to choose it because if I do, it's going to take me some time before the website will allocate SSL to me. Okay, but to save time, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Okay, now I'm going to leave my domain name the way it is. Don't forget, I only chose mhdev. Okay, but infinityfree.net allocated .42web.io to me. Okay, so leave your directory, leave it the way it is, leave your site name the way it is, leave your site description the way it is. Okay, we're going to work on all of this later on when we get into the WP. Okay, now type in your username. Okay, I'm going to type in something simple. so that we can remember. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave my email address. So I'll go down. I'll go down. Please do not pick, not choose any of these themes. We're going to work on all of this later on. So I'm going to click on install. Okay. So you allow the installation to get to 100%. You can see it's loading. It's loading. Just wait for it. Be patient. Okay. As a web developer, you have to be patient. Okay. Even as a designer, you have to be very patient. So congratulations, the software was installed successfully. Okay. So you can see now, look at this administrative URL. Okay. So at the tail end of our domain name, something is attached, which is wp-admin. Okay. Now for every WordPress site, wp-admin is added. Okay. This is the link through which you get access to the login page of your WordPress site. Okay. So if you want to go and edit your website, okay, you want to edit, you want to update your website, this is the link to get there. Okay. So you need to keep this link, okay, from people so that people don't just get your login page. All right. So we're going to do something about this later on in this series of web development and design. Okay, so be on the lookout because normally you're not expected to allow anyone to get your login page. Okay, so we're going to do something about this. There's a plugin we're going to use that that will that will mask this link. Okay, all right, so we're going to do that later on in the series. Okay, so we're going to end it here. So we've been able to discuss what a domain name is, what a hosting is, different plans for different organizations, websites, whether you're looking at Namecheap or Smart Web or Google Host or Bluehost. Okay, so they all come with their different hosting plans, okay, and different prices for their domain names and their hosting plans. So it's all about your budget, it's all about what you want, it's all about the purpose of the website. So all of those will determine what you should look at for. Okay, then we'll look at how to open a free hosting using Infinity Free, even though there are other uh, uh, websites you can also go to open your free hosting. What's the purpose of free hosting? Is for you to practice. Okay, you have an idea and you want to run it and see, okay, how it will play out, okay, on the website. So you can use your free hosting and test it out. Okay, if you do not have opportunity of opening a subdomain, okay, in your paid plan. All right, so you can do that with a free hosting. Okay, now we've also discussed how we can buy our domain name and our hosting here in Nigeria. Uh, uh, Looking at the restriction we have with our debit cards. Okay, and then we've looked at how our cPanel looks like, the dashboard of our hosting, and then how we can install our WP on our website. Okay, so these are the things we've looked at in the part one and part two.